In 2026, the European Union is changing the way that honey labels are made. Now, although we're not part of the European Union, our food standards are very similar, so I would imagine that whatever changes happens there are going to happen here, and the change is quite significant. And the bit that's changing is the word origin on the back of the jar. Most jars in the supermarket will say origin of EU and non-EU countries. Well, EU, we understand, is Europe, but non-EU, unfortunately, that's China. China produce a synthetic honey syrup. It tastes virtually like honey, it crystallizes like honey, but it's not honey. This stuff's made in factories. In fact, England imports more synthetic honey than China than anywhere else in the world. Last year we imported 75,000 tonnes of the stuff. So you've gone to a supermarket and you've picked up a jar that says originated in the UK, produced in the UK. Well, surely that's the real deal, isn't it? Unfortunately not. The problem is bees need honey to survive. Between the spring and the summer, when there's a lull in flowers, bees will eat honey to give them energy to keep the queen warm. Bees buzz around the queen and keep her at 35 degrees, which of course uses a lot of energy. They need a lot of honey. And imagine how much honey they need to survive during the winter months. So decent beekeepers leave honey on the hives for the bees, but we check them every single week to make sure they're not running out. During the coldest winter months, we often feed the bees fondant. Now this sugary substance will give the bees enough energy to keep the queen warm during those really cold nights. And as the weather starts to warm up, we then switch to a sugary syrupy water. They'll feed on this until the springtime flowers start to appear, and once they appear, we stop feeding them so they can go out and forage to make real honey. Unfortunately, some manufacturers feed the bees all year round. Why do they do this? Well, it's the entire life's work of 25,000 bees to make one single jar of honey. It's a long, time-consuming process. But if you feed the bees sugared syrup, instead of going out to create real honey, they'll just fill the hive with the sugared syrup. It's not the same, it's not real, but it means your manufacturer can take this sugared syrup out of their hive and say, made in the UK, produced in the UK, British honey. To look after bees, we need to feed them during the winter, we need to feed them during the summer. During the winter periods, we're here inspecting them every single week, and during the spring and summer, it's every 3 days. Producing the honey is a long, drawn-out, slow process, especially if it's done correctly and cold filtered. So next time you're in a supermarket and you see a jar of honey for 79 pence, what do you think's in there? Real honey isn't cheap, and cheap honey isn't real. The only way you'll guarantee that honey is genuine and real is to go to a local farm store and buy it from a local beekeeper. Alternatively, you can go to gunhillhoney.com, where we only sell British honey made by British bees. It's delicious.